Hello, I'm Craig O'Brien, and in this documentary I'm going to be exploring dyspraxia through our documentary titled Dyspraxia, the Other Side of the Spectrum. In this documentary we're going to be exploring what dyspraxia is, how it affects people's lives, and what help there is, through my personal experience. Have you heard of dyspraxia?
No, I can't say I have.
I haven't, no.
No. It's something where you're not able to... Is it speech or something like that?
No.
I was diagnosed with dyspraxia at just 10 years old. The woman who diagnosed me, Debbie, explained what dyspraxia was to me. However, when she did so, I didn't have a complete idea about what it was still. When I went to the clinic, she taught me how to excel in certain activities, such as throwing and catching, teamwork building exercises, and social interaction. Within school, however, I did still struggle with social interaction, so assistant teachers such as Mr. Thomas helped me to socialise better with other students. As at the time I couldn't talk to people very well, as I only had one friend, and dyspraxia really made things difficult. So you think you've heard of dyspraxia? You possibly do. Out of the 15 people we asked, 53% of participants in a survey said that they had heard of dyspraxia. However, in another question, 33% of participants could not give a correct definition of dyspraxia. I'm now going to interview James, who has dyspraxia. So when did you suspect you had dyspraxia or something similar?
I think I first suspected it when I noticed that I was different to the other kids at school. So first indication was being left-handed. Most dyspraxics tend to be left-handed. And I also struggled with heat and temperature. And this was different to other people and other kids at school. And that's the first point where I noticed I was different to other people. And I guess the first point where I thought I might have something special, different like dyspraxia.
Could you have any guess at what it might be?
Not really. No.
To be honest, mate, I really have not got a clue.
There are many professionals that can help diagnose people with dyspraxia and help them overcome these issues. Some of these professionals include paediatricians, occupational therapists, speech therapists, and physiotherapists. Could you give your own idea of what you think it might be?
Some sort of illness, I would have thought, isn't it?
I'm now going to interview Tess Quinn, an expert within Western College, who has experience in advising and helping students with dyspraxia. Could you please give us your definition of dyspraxia?
My definition of dyspraxia is a developmental condition. You're born with it. It's a specific learning difficulty. It affects mainly your coordination, but it also affects an awful lot of other stuff within a person.
Dyspraxia can affect people in many ways, such as through having poor balance, speaking too quickly, and being oversensitive to light.
Organisation of thoughts, the bumping into things, falling over, and tripping, just generally accident prone.
Post-it notes and calendars are also a great way to help with planning your daily life and prioritising things if you struggle with short-term memory. Can you give your own definition of dyspraxia?
Dyspraxia is an adaptation of the brain which changes the way the owner of the brain would perceive, use and act around people or with certain things.
To help with your coordination, you can do any activity that you enjoy, such as walking, running, and bowling, to help with your coordination and manual dexterity. Do you think the students' lives are greatly impacted by it?
I have to almost split it up into two, because my role here at college is to support dyspraxic students, and that's with their education and the coursework and how they get on in college. And then, of course, if you're out and about in the community, then it'll be slightly different, because you don't deal with education out there.
Would you like to know more about it?
Yes, I would, because I don't know what it is.
Could be, yes.
It would do, but at their age now, like, you know what I mean, you know, knocking on a bit now. I mean, 76, 77 then.
It all depends.
Interestingly enough, from my Vox Pops, I've learnt that the general public isn't as aware of dyspraxia as I initially thought. So I'm in the library and I found a book about dyspraxia, which is written by Dr. Amanda Kirby. And it talks about the weaknesses with a person with dyspraxia growing up, such as through signs of distractibility, like if a person is given numerous tasks to do, they may struggle to accomplish them all at once. And if they manage to focus all of their energy on one particular task, they may turn out to be particularly good at it. So that's one of the advantages in itself of dyspraxia. Did anyone ever suspect that there was something different about you compared to other kids?
I was very clumsy, essentially. That was my parents, especially my mum, saw it beforehand. She knew about dyspraxia and she'd seen it in other kids before. So when she thought I might have dyspraxia, she, mentioned what the symptoms, if you were of it. So being clumsy, not being able to use certain implements, and temperature-related difficulties.
People will be affected in their daily lives from difficulties in coordination, because this can affect their functioning in everyday life skills in education, work, and employment. There can be issues in an individual's social and emotional activities. There are also problems with time management, planning, and personal organisation, as these may affect an adult's education or employment experiences.
I can't seem to get a handle on all the reports I have to write up, and then I lose track of time. It seemed to get harder as I got older, but at the time I had no idea why, and I started to think of myself in a negative way, and even downsized my hopes about what I wanted to do.
Are there a large number of students that attend your sessions, and if not, why?
Don't actually often. I have less dyspraxic students than I have dyslexic students, and I think it's to do with that dyspraxic students can often be very good at English and maths, and the main problem is this thing about organisation. So I don't see that many purely dyspraxic students. However, dyspraxic students are often also dyslexic. So it's one of, we call it co-occurring difficulties.
There are many help groups that dyspraxic people can attend to help them with their issues. I attended one group which helped me with my socialising as well as my balance and hand-eye coordination through various practical activities. Do you believe there's a cause for dyspraxia?
Oh, that's a very difficult question. I do not believe there's such a cause. I think you're born with dyspraxia.
Yeah.
So it's what we call a developmental condition. So you're born with it, it will never go away, but you learn how to cope with it. People have said that there is a gene for all the specific learning difficulties, and that would be for dyspraxia as well. I think it is a difficulty in the brain, so it is neurological as well. But the actual cause, I don't think there's any direct cause for it. I don't think there's anything that the mum does or anything that will cause dyspraxia.
When were you diagnosed with dyspraxia? And do you remember who diagnosed you?
I was diagnosed with dyspraxia roughly about 2014, so I was in about year 9 at that point, and it was an NHS thing. They funded it and they got me my diagnosis, and I was given an occupational therapy or an OT, and she met with me twice a year, and she was the one that properly diagnosed me.
I've learned so much, and I really wish that dyspraxia was a lot more awareness about dyspraxia years ago rather than just now. So I reckon there's a lot of people my age that keep it hush-hush. And really having workshops, I've met people like me, and it's hilarious.
I hope you learned a little bit more about what dyspraxia is. And if you think you know anyone who has dyspraxia, be sure to recommend them a local practitioner. And for any more information about dyspraxia, check out the Dyspraxia Foundation website for more information.